Greetings, my friends! Just a few days ago we returned from beautiful Romania and the event called Ace of Blades, which was the first sword fighting tournament I participated in since 2018. Stay with me to find out how it went. So what was the reason why I hadn't fought since 2018? The main thing was just health problems, that you know, some of the most important of them. And then there were also some other, situations that were combined with those health problems sometimes. And also, made it very difficult for me to go fight in a tournament. But, I recently just thought that I might as well just go to as many HEMA tournaments I can. Just because I really like the whole thing about tournaments. I like, the exertion and the extra effort that you need to go to the tournament and fight all through it. Especially when it's a very difficult one like this one, with very big pools. But we're not getting any younger. So we might as well make the most of it while we still can go and fight in tournaments like that. And so I decided that, despite my back, being in pain and everything, I will just participate. And I'm very happy I did. I do not regret it at all. It was a great experience. So what was the event? The event was 3 tournaments. One was, the basic one, the longsword duels, let's say, 1 versus 1 fights, which is a very typical thing. Longsword is the most common weapon in HEMA. That's what most people do by a big margin. And so that was just a typical longsword tournament with pools, and then there's the phase of 16 who advance, and then the phase of 8 and the phase of 4, and then there is the final, and then of course there's the fight for 3rd place. So I started great in my pool fights. First fight I won 10-0, so not too bad, and the guy actually was pretty good. He actually ended up in the final 16. So not too bad, I guess. But what I was noticing was that my energy was dropping very fast, my stamina. And I don't know to what extent that has to do anything with my back. Of course, it must have something to do with it. I don't know to what extent though, because, the nerves that are being compressed by the vertebrae in the spine, in my back, they do end up in the legs, and well, they're nerves, so they do affect stamina in general. But still, regardless, I managed to win 7 out of my 8 pool fights. I only lost 1 fight out of the 8 fights I had in my pool. And I lost that one 10-8 points. And I was actually ahead 8-6. But then I didn't manage to get those final 2 points to win it. Kudos to my opponent. He was a very young guy and very fast. And one of the exchanges I remember towards the end, he did manage to snipe my hands mid-air as I was attacking. My hands, he didn't know the position that they were gonna be in. But he kind of predicted it and hit me in the hands, and that was very impressive. It takes a lot of accuracy and a lot of speed to pull something like that off. So kudos to him, he did manage to beat me. But of course I had won 7 out of my 8 pool fights, so I advanced to the phase of 16. My stamina was really taking a hit at that time. I was really tired, and by the end of exchanges I was huffing and puffing like the big bad wolf. Still, I did manage to beat my guy in the phase of 16 and advance to the phase of 8. And that guy is a very young guy and very athletic, and I think he's also a very good guy and good character, I mean. And I think that he's got a great future in HEMA if he keeps training. So then in the phase of 8, we were 8 people, and 2 of us were me and my student Nick. And I know Nick for a very long time. He's my first student ever that I had. He is a good fighter, but that day he was incredible. He was on fire. It was the best performance I've ever seen him have ever in my entire life. So that was very nice to see. Unfortunately, we were unlucky enough to be matched up together. So I had to fight my student when there were 6 other people, but for whatever parameters go into the system, which is all computerized, I had to fight Nick and not any of the other 6 fighters in the, quarterfinals. So, of course, Nick was more fresh than me because I was really tired at that point, and he did manage to beat me and knock me out of the competition in this way. And so that's where my journey stopped in that tournament. Regardless, Nick went ahead. He fought Andrei Kirilashan in the semifinals. He lost to Andrei, who is one of the organizers and a good friend of ours, and also a very good fighter. So then he fought for the 3rd place, and he had to fight against the guy who beat me in the pools. The guy I told you who beat me 10-8, that guy, who is a really fast guy, very young, and he's very technical. So that guy beats Nick. So well done to them. So Nick ended up in the 4th place out of 20, and I guess I ended up somewhere in the other 4 places. Given the fact that I only lost 1 pool fight, I might have ended up in the 5th place of the tournament, I guess. But yeah, that's not too bad. 4th or 5th or whatever out of 27 fighters who were mostly very young and mostly very skilled. That is not a bad result at all. My wife actually did very well as well. Out of the 8 fights that she had in her pool, she did manage to beat 2 men. They were all men. She was the only woman in the tournament. It was an open tournament. It just was, sometimes it's random like that. It happens. And she did manage to beat 2 of them. And I can tell you, it was not a charity win or something. They were really trying. So I'm very impressed. I also saw her fight much better than I see her fight in training. So that was very interesting. And I'm very proud of her, which I would be regardless of whether she won or not. And my other student who was there, George, he's a very good fighter. That wasn't his day so much. He did actually have several wins, but he was disqualified in the pool phase. But in the scoring system, 16 people out of the 27 were advancing, and he was number 18 or something. He was very close to having advanced to the phase of 16. So I think he did very well overall, although I think he can still do better because I've seen him fight better in tournaments. So the next day was Sunday, and on Sunday there were 2 tournaments. One of them was a flourish display, which means that there were people that were gonna make some kind of routine, swirling their sword around or doing, things that were either spectacular or funny or entertaining. You were getting points for all of that stuff, or creative, And there were very nice things to see in that one. But my personal favorite was a Ukrainian guy who made a very funny routine. And personally, I would like to see more of the funny / entertaining side of that. Not so much, the flourishes that are just, meant to display strikes and whatnot. Because, I think that's what's missing from HEMA events. Sometimes they're just too serious, you could say. You could use some entertainment and some fun in them to just, create a nice mood and a nice atmosphere, which is always a positive thing to have in an event, regardless. And organizers, such as myself, we always try to achieve that the event is mostly fun. And then also, a good event in all the other parameters. You need to create a great experience. That's what people are traveling for, a great experience. And that great experience can have many different ways to be achieved, but entertainment and fun is definitely one of them. So the third tournament, which was part of the Ace of Blades event in Romania, was something very interesting that I haven't seen before. I mean, we've done exercises like that in my school, but I've never seen it in a tournament format like that. And that was the multiple opponents tournament. That was amazing, actually. I didn't expect it to be so good. When I heard about it, I thought that it has very high chances of not working out as expected. But I was actually right in the sense that it actually worked better than expected. And I guess part of the reason for that is Andrei Kirlashan's brain power, who is like a very intelligent person, and he's good at organizing stuff. So what this tournament entailed was that there were groups of 5 people, and in those groups there was one out of those 5 who was, you know, the single person at every time. So one of them was the single person, and then the others were the group. And that person had to fight first against 2 opponents, next round against 3 opponents, and final round against 4 opponents. And of course, that person was getting points for eliminating people, and also bonus points if he or she eliminated all of them, which happened a couple of times, and it was very impressive. But yeah, that tournament was a lot of fun and very educative and very interesting. And in that tournament, you know, out of the 27 again or so, I think people, or it might have been 25 in this one, because I think that the groups were all groups of 5. I think there was no group that had another number of participants. So in that tournament, what happened is that there were only 5 people who were advancing out of the 25. It was, you could say, the finals. And then those 5 people who were advancing, they were forming a group of 5, and they were fighting against each other as it happened before with their group. So I did not advance to the final 5. Nick or George did not advance to the final 5, but my wife Zoe actually did advance to the final 5. She was very impressive in that tournament. I guess her fighting style suits that kind of action. And not only did she advance to the final 5, she won the 3rd place. So she got the bronze medal. And yeah, I can tell you that they were really trying to hit her, and she was also, of course, trying to hit them successfully sometimes. And she earned it. It was really a great achievement for her. She was so happy, she was ecstatic that it was the first open tournament that she won any kind of medal in. So she was super happy about that. And overall, it was a very fun experience. So a few things that I learned, or some of them I relearned through this experience. One is that tournaments are a lot of fun. If you don't do HEMA, find a school near you and start it. And if you do HEMA, then go to tournaments. It's a great experience. I also learned that Romanians are amazing people. For the most part, they are amazing, super amazing people. They're very cultured, and they're very, very kind. And they're great to have a conversation with, because a lot of them are very smart. And so the evenings that we had after all this exertion and all this effort were really revitalizing and refreshing, especially in a mental and you know, psychological, emotional way, you could say, because it's just great company. And I also learned that Romania is actually a beautiful country, Bucharest especially. You can see when people really cares about beauty or not. You can see it in buildings, and in small details sometimes. And of course, the other thing was that there are a lot of honorable people that fought in that tournament, and some who were not so much. But I think that our example always teaches them something, shows them something. And I hope that people in HEMA will realize that, you know, we're not supposed to cheat in tournaments or to try to get a point no matter what. And in my school, of course, that is a tenet of my school, that, you know, we don't protest in tournaments. We don't try to cheat or anything like that. We're only allowed to protest in favor of our opponent, which we did many times, both me and my students in this tournament. I think, for example, in the fight I lost in the pools, I must have protested against myself 5 times or so. So I could have won it if I wanted, but it would not mean anything to me if I did. So yeah, I think that's the spirit. And I saw a lot of other people, who were mostly Romanian, who had that attitude. And I really appreciate and admire that. I'm very happy for that. I think that creates the type of tournaments that we all want to go to. And the final thing that I learned is that even if you are a bit old, which, I mean, yeah, I am kind of old, but not that old. But even if you are old or you have health problems or whatever, it's still worth it to go to those tournaments because one, they're a good test for you. You can see where you are in need of improvement. And in my case, it was stamina, because that was very clear. That's the reason why I started not being as good as time was going on. And I have actually thought of steps to fix that or to improve that. And I will tell you that in another video. But then also, that effort and that exertion is actually really good for your health overall. It really helps. So yeah, like I said in the beginning of this video, find a HEMA school near you, start training, and start going to tournaments. It's a great way to travel and meet new peoples and cultures. Until the next time, I'd like to thank you all for watching. Be well and take care.